Hello everyone and welcome back to the screencast series of Quick Start Guide for Asset Administration Shell. We are in the part 2 of this screencast series that is nothing but the data consumer's perspective. In the last video, we have already got acquainted with the terminology such as discovery interface, the registry interfaces, or even the AAS interface, submodel interfaces, or in other words, the repositories. Now, in this video, we are going to have a look into the first three steps or first three calls in retrieving the asset related information. For this purpose, I have already started the AAS servers in the form of registry and repository. For this, I have already taken the help of ASX servers for registry and repository. If you are interested in the installation and deployments of these servers, then please visit our previous screencast where you will get the detailed information about this. Now, let's have a look into the repository first. So the repository consists of three shells, and one of this is nothing but our example, my car asset administration shell. So this shell has been modeled in the data provider screencast series for an asset of car. This shell consists of one submodel that is nothing but the digital nameplate. Now, this shell has already been registered in the registry instance. As we can see, there is a shell descriptor with the corresponding endpoint. Then there is some model descriptor again with the corresponding endpoint in it. Now, let's have a look how we can basically achieve or access the asset administration shell starting from the very first step from the consumer side. Now, the prerequisite of these calls or these steps is nothing but as a consumer, I need to know the asset ID first. Now, in the real time scenario, as a consumer, I'll be already having the asset ID in the form of, let's say, RFID or QR code or asset ID somewhere stored in the database. Now, to save us some time, I have already the asset ID with me, let's say from the database, for example. And to proceed with further steps, I need to first encode this asset ID into base64 URL encoded format. For this, I'm taking this help of this online tool to encode my asset ID. Once I encode this, I can simply copy this to clipboard. And now going back to the client of asset administration shell to proceed with further steps. Now, as a client, I'm using the Swagger UI of the registry of the asset administration shell or the ASX server in this case of the registry itself. As we can see, the registry is hosted at 5002 and I'm using the Swagger UI of 5002. Now, the very first step, as we have already seen, is nothing but to use the discovery interface. Now, this discovery interface or the operation of the discovery interface is already included in this registry API. As we see here in the end, there is this operation with lookup shells or with the name get all asset administration shell IDs by asset link. Now I'm going to open this operation and I'm going to use it to get the AS-ID. So here I need to paste the base64 URL encoded asset ID. And when I say execute, I get the list of all the shell IDs. As there is only one shell ID corresponding to this one asset ID, the corresponding shell ID has been returned. So this is the shell ID that we have received. Now, if we go back to the diagram, so this first step is successfully completed. We have received our AAS ID. Now, the next step is to use the registry interface. So this registry interface will basically give me the endpoint of the asset administration shell, the location of the asset administration shell. So for this, let's copy this AAS ID And in the same the list of registry operations, we are going to use this get asset administration shell descriptor by identifier operation. Now, here there is a field of AAS identifier or AAS-Id, but please note that here as well, we have to use the base 64 encoded identifier and not the plain identifier. So again, we are on this encoding tool, and let's copy the AAS-Id, encode it, and let's copy the encoded identifier. Let's go back to the Swagger UI and paste the AAS identifier. And when I execute it, I have received the complete descriptor of the asset administration shell registered. Now, the payload description, or how to read the payload, the detailed information about this has already been done in the previous screencast of registry in the data provider series. So you can have a look into that. But just to focus on the information that we need. So, for example, the first half of this payload. So we have asset kind, and then there is endpoint. So here under this protocol information, we have this endpoint of the asset administration shell. So here, this is nothing but the location of the asset administration shell for my car, for the shell that we are looking for. So simply if I copy this endpoint and if I go to the browser and if I paste it, then I can see I have received the complete JSON serialization of my asset administration shell. Uh, and the reason is I have already the repository running on my local instance. So the prerequisite is you should have access to the repository. So as we can see, the ID short of my asset administration shell is car. Uh, then there is asset related information. Then there is list of submodel references. The model type is asset administration shell. So I can access the whole asset administration shell. So this is how in the first three steps we have seen that with the help of only AssetId, I can get asset administration shell. In turn, I can get the location of the shell, and that's how I can actually access the asset administration shell, the complete object from the AAS repository along with all the submodel references. Now, in the next screencast, we will focus on how to access the submodels and the submodel elements in the next steps. So if you are interested in knowing more about the submodels, accessing the submodels or a submodel related to this asset, then stay tuned with the next video. Thank you.